What's going on, everybody? As always, thank you for tuning in. Today I want to give you 10 life-changing books that you must read in 2021 or 2022 and the beginning of the year that's coming. And these are books mainly around finances, around the investing space, around money, and around getting your financial knowledge and awareness up. And these are books that I think every single one of you must read. They're absolute classics and just essentials when it comes to finances, when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, and it relates to every sales professional, every entrepreneur, every investor. And I genuinely believe every single person should equip themselves with these skills, with this knowledge, and should know more about money, more about finances, and more about how to create a life that you truly are fulfilled with on your own terms. And to do that, the reality is you need financial independence. And in order to get to a place of financial independence, you need to have the right knowledge first. And these 10 books will help you get there. And of course, make sure to smash the like button if you enjoyed the book recommendations, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to the channel. We talk all things sales, entrepreneurship, business, and just overall success. And on that note, let's get right into it. So at number 10, we have one of my favorites and one that I talk about very often, and that is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. This is one of the classic books when it comes to money, when it comes to the rules of money, and there's a ton of value in it for everybody. So I've talked about this before. You can check out my other videos on this topic as well, and that's at number 10. At number 9, we have Principles by Ray Dalio, who's also a very well-known investor. A ton of value and knowledge packed into that book. I would highly recommend it for everybody. He has a new book as well called The New World Order that I believe is being published very recently, or may have already been published, or he only released chapters. I'm not too sure, but you can check out his other book as well. But I want to recommend at number 9, Principles by Ray Dalio. At number 8, we have Antifragile by Nassim Taleb. So Nassim Taleb is an extremely intelligent individual. He's one of my favorite authors. He also has other books such as Skin in the Game, The Black Swan, which I would also recommend reading. So I wanted to put Nassim Taleb on this list. And when it comes to Antifragile, it's really knowledge that you need to have for life, but especially in the investing world, especially when it comes to finances, and when it comes to your money, you want to learn how to become anti-fragile. So I would highly recommend that read. Number 7 is a book called Debt by David Graeber. And this book is essentially on the history of money, and it goes very far back, and it talks about the barter system and where money really came from. And it makes a very interesting argument around debt and how human beings owed one another, and this concept of debt and money and how they correlate. And it's a book that if you want to get to the essentials of finance and accounting and money and understand it on a deeper level, it's one that I would definitely read and I would highly recommend. Number 6 is Devil Take the Hindmost by Edward Chancellor. Devil Take the Hindmost is one of my personal favorites when it comes to the investing space and when it comes to money and financials, because it covers the last few hundred years of the stock market and the bubbles and the booms and busts that occurred and the stories behind all of them. And it's really good to understand human psychology and the psychology of the markets, and it speaks to the efficient market theory and the inefficient market theory and the different schools of thought and the different camps that there are in the investing space. So I think every investor or every person looking to understand money, finances, and looking to create a future for themselves, and in order to do that, you need this knowledge, I think needs to read this. Every single person should be aware of the history of the markets and the history of the financial space, and this is a great book for that. Number 5 is Richer, Wiser, Happier by William Green. This is one of my favorites that I read not too long ago, and this book covers some of the greatest investors of our time, and each chapter is around one of those investors, and it goes into detail not only about their principles on investing and the tacticals, but also about their mindset on life, their philosophy on how they go about their day-to-day, their philosophy on creating a lifestyle that they can enjoy and at the same time maximize in order to get the returns and the results they want in their lives. And it's something that I think gives you a deeper insight into the lives of these investors that are so proclaimed and people discuss and talk about them all the time. And you can go behind the scenes and hear more about conversations that they had at their office, while they were traveling together, at their homes, and all the different areas that William Green went with these investors and captured their thoughts thoughts and captured their philosophies and ideologies. And I think it's a really interesting one to read for you as well. So I would highly recommend that at number 5. Number 4 is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. So this is an incredible book because it goes into a lot of the fundamentals of Wall Street, the markets, finance, money, understanding fees, understanding structures, and then goes into the philosophies and the portfolio allocations, the asset allocations, the different areas of investing with different investors. And he interviews investors like John C. Bogle, who was the founder of Vanguard. He interviews Ray Dalio in this book, and there's a ton of content. There's a ton of material that you could use in order to understand money, understand finances, and build your wealth. So I would highly recommend that at number 4. It's Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. So we're getting into the top 3 now, and at number 3, I have Poor Charlie's Almanac, and that's this big blue book behind me right here. And Poor Charlie's Almanac is one of my personal favorites because it's all around the wisdom and the life of Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's business partner. He's worth a couple billion. He's on the board of Costco, on Daily Journal, and also one of the shareholders and on the board of Berkshire Hathaway as well. And it talks about a lot of his philosophies and ideologies on life, his story, his path. There's a ton of valuable information in there, and just a lot of things around life, but also money and wealth, and a lot of just valuable things that I was exposed to while going through that book. And there's pictures, there's quotations, there's a ton in that book. It's not like a regular book, and it's extremely big. It's more like a coffee table book. It's very thick, so you're going to have to really go through that. And I think it's a very interesting read, and that's in my top 3 here for you. So I'd recommend that at number 3. Number 2 is The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. So again, this is one of those books that gives you insight and makes you understand the history of money, finance, and goes a little bit deeper. I believe the audiobook is something around 30 hours or so. So this is also a good read. It will take you some time, but it's definitely one that's worth it. So I have that here at number 2, Adam Smith, and it's called The Wealth of Nations. And finally, we have number 1 on the list, and it couldn't have been any other book. I had to give the crown to this book here, and you may already know the answer. I have it on my top shelf there as well. The nice red book known as The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. That's a book that Warren Buffett recommends all the time. That was one of the books that changed the course of his life and his investing philosophy. And Benjamin Graham also mentored a lot of the other great investors like Seth Klarman and so on and so on. And he is known as the father of value investing. And I would highly recommend that book. It's also known as the Bible of investing. It has a lot of the principles and foundations of investing that I think everybody can apply. And very famously put, the chapters that I would highly recommend are chapter 8 and chapter 20, but I would obviously recommend reading the entire book. It may be a hard read, but again, just like all these other books, it's worth it, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you want to understand money, if you want to understand finances, if you want to understand the investing space, and if you want to learn not only how to earn money and keep your money, but how to multiply your money over the decades and not to fall for the trappings and for the common mistakes that every other investor falls for. This is one that you need to read and potentially read over and over again until you really understand the concepts discussed. And again, at number 1, we have The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. So there you have it, my top 10 life-changing books you must read in 2021, 2022, specifically around money and investing in the financial space. Because again, for you to live a truly fulfilled life on your own terms, which I believe is the ultimate North Star, that's the goal that we're all striving for, you have to become financially independent. And in order to become financially independent, you have to get the right information and the right knowledge when it comes to money, finances, investing, compounding your money, and building your wealth. And I think these 10 books will send you on your way, and you're in good hands with these authors. I would highly recommend these. And of course, above and beyond these books, there's a ton more that I can recommend, but I wanted to narrow it down to the top 10 books that I would recommend you read in 2021, 2022. And on that note, I hope you go and actually buy these books, the audiobooks, the hardcover books. I hope you read them. I hope you implement them. And I hope you also recommend them to other friends, family, coworkers, business partners, whoever else you think might benefit from these books as well. On that note, thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.